Tyler Moore was just 17, but his eyes held the weight of someone twice his age. In the heart of New York City's morning rush hour, he stood on a packed subway platform, still as a statue amidst a river of rushing commuters. Headphones in, he wasn't listening to music, just white noise to block out the world, while his eyes stayed locked on the worn textbook in his hands. He wasn't just reading, he was surviving. Every minute he focused brought him one step closer to his dream, being the first in his family to go to college. Life had never been easy for Tyler. His father passed away when he was 10, and since then, his mother had taken on multiple jobs just to keep food on the table and the lights on. Their apartment was small, noisy, and filled with the sounds of struggle, clinking dishes from late-night cleaning shifts, his little sister's cries, and the constant hum of financial stress. Distraction wasn't just a bad habit, it was a threat to everything he hoped for. Unlike most teens, Tyler didn't have the luxury of drifting through high school. There were no video games, no weekend parties, no lazy afternoons. His friends called him obsessed. Teachers called him determined. But to Tyler, focus was his way out. It was a quiet, invisible power he carried like armor, protecting him from the chaos around him. On that crowded subway platform, Tyler wasn't just another student. He was a fighter, quiet, steady, and full of fire. In a world pulling him in every direction, he chose to stay centered. Because deep down, he believed that if he just stayed focused, long enough and hard enough, something good had to come. Something had to change. Late at night in their tiny apartment, the walls seemed to close in on Tyler. His little sister's cries echoed from the next room, and the flickering kitchen light cast shadows on the stack of unpaid bills sitting on the table. The weight of everything, school, home, expectations, pressed down harder than ever. As he sat at the edge of his bed, phone in hand, a new message lit up the screen. Then another. And another. His friends were going to a party, just a small get-together. "You deserve a break," one message said. "Come on, just this once." Tyler stared at the screen, tempted. He could already hear the music, the laughter, the freedom of forgetting everything for a few hours. He hadn't had fun in months. Maybe it wouldn't matter. Maybe just one night wouldn't change anything. His thumb hovered over the message. Then he heard it, the soft creak of the front door. His mother was home, exhausted from her second job. She didn't speak, just quietly tiptoed into his room and gently kissed his forehead, thinking he was asleep. Her hands were rough, her body tired, but her love, silent and deep, was always there. Tyler didn't move. He just felt it. That kiss said more than words ever could. He looked back at the phone. The temptation was still there, buzzing on the screen, offering escape. But Tyler didn't need escape. He needed to push forward. He closed the messages without replying, opened his laptop, and pulled up the scholarship essay he had been working on. His focus returned, not because he wanted success, but because he couldn't let the people who believed in him down. Not now. Not ever. In the quiet corner of the public library, surrounded by dusty shelves and the soft rustle of turning pages, Tyler found his favorite spot, a small wooden table near the window, always soaked in late afternoon light. It was his sanctuary. One afternoon, as he reviewed yet another draft of his college essay, a voice interrupted the silence. "You've got focus, son. Not many your age do." Tyler looked up to see an elderly man with kind eyes and a gentle presence. The man introduced himself as Mr. Reynolds. Once a professor at Columbia University, he had taught literature for over 30 years before retiring. Since losing his wife 2 years earlier, his days had grown quiet, too quiet. Something about Tyler reminded him of the students he used to teach, hungry for more, driven by something deeper. What started as a brief conversation turned into something more. Mr. Reynolds began meeting Tyler at the library each week, offering feedback on essays, helping him understand complex concepts, and sharing stories that brought books to life. He never spoke down to him, never charged a fee. He simply showed up, week after week, with patience, wisdom, and a quiet belief in Tyler's potential. Tyler never asked for help, but in Mr. Reynolds, he found more than a mentor. He found someone who saw him, not as a struggling kid from a cramped apartment, but as a mind worth nurturing. And Mr. Reynolds, in turn, found purpose again in the focus and fire of a young man determined to change his future. Their bond wasn't loud or dramatic, it was built in silence, in pages turned, in lessons shared. Two lives intersecting at just the right moment. Not by accident, but by quiet design. The school hallway buzzed with laughter and footsteps, but Tyler barely heard any of it. His phone vibrated in his pocket, and when he read the message, the world around him stopped. His mother had collapsed at work, exhaustion, the doctor said. Too many hours, too little rest. Tyler leaned against the locker, heart pounding. Guilt surged through him. While he had been chasing dreams, his mom had been quietly falling apart. Thoughts flooded his mind. What if he dropped out now? Got a job. Took care of things. Maybe college could wait. Maybe it wasn't the right time. His vision blurred as tears welled up. This wasn't just pressure anymore. It was survival. Later that day, as he sat alone on a bench outside school, his backpack untouched beside him, the librarian tapped him on the shoulder and handed him a small envelope. It was from Mr. Reynolds. The note inside was written in shaky, careful script. When the world shakes you, that's when you hold your focus tighter. Not for you. For those who believe in you. Tyler read it again. And again. The words sank in, not like advice, but like truth. His mother never asked him to quit. She had worked herself to the edge so he wouldn't have to. Mr. Reynolds believed in him not because he had to, but because he saw something real in him. This wasn't the moment to give up. It was the moment to rise. With a deep breath, Tyler stood. He knew what he had to do. Not just for himself, but for the ones who had quietly carried him this far. He walked home, not defeated, but determined, holding on to the one thing that had never let him down, his focus. Weeks passed, each day heavier than the last, college applications sent, essays finalized, and long nights spent in quiet hope. Then, one afternoon, a thick envelope arrived. Tyler stared at it, hands trembling. He didn't rip it open. He held it, breathed it in, as if somehow it held more than just paper. It held years of sacrifice, sleepless nights, whispered prayers. Inside was one word that changed everything: congratulations. He had been accepted to Harvard. Full scholarship. Tyler didn't cry because he made it to an Ivy League. He cried because he hadn't given up. Because in every moment he could have chosen to quit, he didn't. The tears came fast, heavy, and real. He ran to his mom, holding the letter like a trophy, and hugged her tight, like the child she once rocked to sleep, like the man she helped raise from nothing. Her face, tired and worn, broke into the proudest smile he had ever seen. Later, Tyler took the letter and walked to the library. Mr. Reynolds was there, waiting at their usual table. Without a word, Tyler handed him the envelope and watched as the old man's eyes filled with tears of his own. He read it out loud, every word like a victory, not just for himself, but for all of them. In that quiet moment, 3 lives were changed. A son proved his mother's sacrifices were worth it. A teacher rediscovered the power of passing on wisdom. And a boy from a tiny apartment became a symbol of what staying focused could truly do. Because sometimes, all it takes is one yes, backed by 1,000 quiet acts of perseverance, to change the course of a life forever. In a world full of noise, pressure, and endless distractions, Tyler Moore's journey is a reminder that focus isn't just about discipline, it's about purpose. Through crowded subway stations, sleepless nights, and heartbreaking setbacks, he held on, not just for himself, but for those who quietly carried him, a mother who sacrificed everything, and a stranger who saw potential in a determined young soul. Tyler's story isn't just about getting into Harvard. It's about what happens when someone refuses to let go of their dream, even when the world tries to pull them away. It's about the quiet strength of staying true to your path, and the unexpected people who show up to help you walk it. In the end, Tyler didn't just earn a scholarship, he lit a path for others to follow. A path paved not with luck, but with focus, love, and relentless belief. Because when you stay focused, not on the noise, but on your purpose, life finds a way to say yes.